everyone, my name is Amber and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an e-arc or e-galley book haul because that is something that you guys said that you might want in the future, so it's something I'm going to incorporate more in my booktube channel. I don't think this will be as frequent as my normal physical book hauls purely because I'm not sure as many people are interested in it, but I know that some people are. So these are the books that I got recently from NetGalley and Edelweiss. I'm hoping that in doing these book hauls that you will find out about some books that are available to request, so you guys can go in and request them as well. Before I begin, I just wanted to say if you haven't checked out my how to use NetGalley video, do go and do that because I basically tell you how to use the website, and if you're confused about how I get all of my e-arcs, then that should explain things to you. I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks video as well at some point in the future, as well as a video on how to use Edelweiss, so please go ahead and check that out if you need to. Without further ado, let's get on with the books. First one is Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis. This is YA thriller slash horror and it sounds super creepy. I did request it on Edelweiss, but it's NetGalley who actually gave it to me. It's about a girl called Lola Knox, who is the daughter of a horror filmmaker. She reckons that nothing can scare her because she's been exposed to horror her entire life, but her father is attacked in their New York apartment and she is sent off to live with her grandmother in a creepy town called Harrow Lake. Her father's horror film was shot at Harrow Lake and the locals are really obsessed with the film, so that's a bit weird. And then there are also a bunch of disappearances, which is even creepier. If that wasn't enough to draw me in, it also mentions that Lola starts to think that someone's stalking her, so I think that sounds really good. I'm trying to read more horror in the run up to October so I can do another horror recommendations video, and that's why I requested this one. Another book that I got recently was The Shadow Friend, which is called something else in the US. I think it's just The Shadows by Alex North, who is the author of The Whisper Man, and I requested this one because I really enjoyed The Whisper Man and I want to get my hands on this. This one comes out in July as well and I will be doing a full review on it, so stay tuned for that. This is another psychological thriller by the author. I haven't really read the synopsis because, to be honest, I requested it because I enjoyed The Whisper Man so much. The first line of the blurb says that the victim was his friend and so was the murderer. 25 years ago, troubled teenager Charlie Crabtree, what a name, committed a shocking and unprovoked murder. I don't want to read the rest of the synopsis because it's a thriller and synopses tend to spoil them, but I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I got a non-fiction book called Trial by Fire, which is about the Station House fire. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. Basically, a bunch of people died during a gig when the indoor pyrotechnics, I think they're called, shot up sparks and lit the ceiling on fire, and the fire spread because the building wasn't fireproofed. That caused a crush in the crowd and a bunch of people couldn't get out of the building. And there's a video on YouTube that I wouldn't recommend watching because it's really freaking disturbing. There was a guy who was recording the entire thing from when the fire started to when he, or she, I think it's a he, ran out and managed to escape the fire. But I think what happened was someone tripped and that caused a bunch of people to kind of fall as well, and then that caused some crushing. So it's really disturbing, and I think this book is non-fiction and it talks about how the fire happened, why the building wasn't fireproofed, fire safety and all of that kind of thing. I imagine this is going to be a tough read, but it is a topic that I have been very interested in. I think I first heard about the Station House fire at least like 5 to 7 years ago, so I'm really interested in reading this now that someone's done a book on it. And then finally, another one of my recent approvals on NetGalley is The Beekeeper of Aleppo, which I am currently reading. I don't know if that's how you pronounce Aleppo. This is about a beekeeper from Syria who has to flee his country and go to the UK. He talks about his experience being a refugee. I'm not very far through at the moment. I'm probably about 10% of the way in and I am really enjoying it. I imagine it's going to be quite haunting. And now moving over to Edelweiss, which is where I'm approved for HarperCollins. So I got quite a few books. First one being actually from Simon & Schuster, so clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. This one is Windswept. This is YA fantasy. It's about a girl who comes across a guy called Reed on the subway, and Reed can teleport. Reed is part of a community of people who can teleport, and he starts taking the main character around different places, and then other teleport people, or drifters, I think they're called, start disappearing. So it's probably going to be a slight mystery. And now moving on to the actual HarperCollins books, I got Blood and Honey, which is the sequel to Serpent and Dove, which isn't a book that I've read yet, but it is going to be one that I read in the next month or so. I don't know what the sequel is going to be about, but Serpent and Dove is very polarizing here on BookTube, so I'm looking forward to reading it and then reading the sequel. I'm probably going to do a full review on this one, so stay tuned. Throwaway Girls, which is a young adult thriller. This is also a debut book, which is partly why I downloaded it. This is about a main character who goes to prep school because her parents sent her there to kind of sort her life out. Her best friend disappears and the main character wants to get involved in the investigation. I think the friend that disappeared was into some pretty dark shit, so that might have something to do with her disappearance. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I don't read many YA thrillers anymore. I mostly read adult but I am looking forward to reading this. Thoughts and Prayers, which is a book by an author that I've already read. Brian Bliss wrote Will Fly Away, which is a really hard-hitting contemporary, but it was very good. I gave it 4 stars when I read it. This is another YA contemporary by the same author. This one is about a school shooting, and the 3 main characters hid under the stairs, I think, when the shooting was happening. I think they're dealing with a lot of survivor's guilt because some of their classmates and their teacher died. So I think this book talks about gun violence and trauma and grief and all those hard-hitting things that I love to read about. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It comes out in September and I'm really excited. How to Pack for the End of the World. This one is YA contemporary as well, I think. It says here that this book follows a young group of activists who decide to take the end of the world into their own hands. If you knew the world was going to end tomorrow, what would you do? So I think it's about a group of teenage preppers as they try to plan for the end of the world because the world is going to shit. This one comes out in November. And then finally I got a book called XX, which is adult science fiction / horror. This one is told in mixed media format. The author is actually a graphic designer and comic book artist, so that's exciting. I think he incorporates those things into this book. It's about first contact with aliens and I am super hyped for this one. It's being published by the Overlook Press, which is a small publisher, and I'm super excited to read it. I think it's going to be one that I really enjoy because I'm looking for more books told in a mixed media format, and I also really enjoy first contact books. It says here that this is a realistic depiction of what might happen in the wake of the biggest scientific discovery in human history. So it's told in like newspaper articles and all of that kind of thing, and I'm so excited to read this one. This one comes out in November and I'm definitely going to have to read it before because I think this is something I'm going to love. So those are all the e-arcs that I got recently. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you thought that it was helpful, if it's bringing some upcoming releases to your radar. If not, I do a monthly new releases video that might help you out, but these are some of the books that are coming out a bit further ahead. Thank you so much for watching this video and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.